Hello and welcome to part 2 of solving quadratic equations by square roots. So here we're looking at example 2, and we see that we have x plus 4 quantity squared equals 9. Well, we're going to start solving this by square rooting both sides. And when I square root the 9 here, remember, there's going to be a positive and a negative solution. So the square root of 9 is 3 and negative 3. So we're going to say plus minus 3. So now x plus 4 equals plus or minus 3. Well, we're going to solve now, continue by subtracting 4 from both sides. And that's going to leave me with negative 4 plus or minus 3. So I can really write this as two equations. I can write it as negative 4 plus 3 and negative 4 minus 3. Well, here, when I take negative 4 plus 3, that's going to give me a solution of negative 1. And on the second one, when I take negative 4 minus 3, that's going to give me a solution of negative 7. So my two solutions in this case are going to be negative 1 and negative 7. In example 3, we see the same, similar type of equation, but here we have a minus 16 on the outside. So we're going to start by adding 16 to both sides to get rid of that. And that's going to leave me with x plus 3 quantity squared equal to 16. Now I can square root to get rid of this squaring. So that's what you see here. But when I square root 16, remember there's going to be a positive and a negative solution. So that's going to be plus or minus 4. So now to continue to solve this, we're going to subtract 3 from both sides. And that's going to give me negative 3 plus or minus 4. So now I can really write this as two equations. I can write it as negative 3 plus 4 and negative 3 minus 4. And these are going to yield my two solutions. So firstly, negative 3 plus 4, that's going to give me positive 1 for x. And then in the second equation, negative 3 minus 4, that's going to give me negative 7 for the second solution. So my two solutions are positive 1 and negative 7. Next, when we look at this equation up here, we notice it's just the binomial squared. So we can start solving this by taking the square root of both sides. But when I take the square root of negative 25, if you were to type that into your calculators, square root of negative 25, that's going to be an error code, or it's going to be maybe a domain error, something like that. And the reason for that is you cannot take the square root of a negative number. So therefore, in this case, there is no solution to this equation. Example 5. We see that there's a negative 2 being multiplied to this binomial of x minus 5. So we're going to start solving this by dividing both sides by negative 2, which over here, you're going to get a positive 36. So positive 36 comes from negative 72 divided by negative 2. And now to undo the squaring of this x minus 5, we square root both sides. So square root. And remember, anytime I square root a number, like here, 36, I'm going to have a plus and a minus solution. So a positive and negative. And we notate that by putting a plus and minus sign outside the 6. So this is plus or minus 6. Now, to continue to solve, I'm going to add 5 to both sides. So my equation is going to be 5 plus or minus 6. So I'm going to rewrite that as two possible solutions. So 5 plus 6 and 5 minus 6. So 5 plus 6, we know that that's going to be 11 as the first solution. And then the second solution, 5 minus 6, that's going to be negative 1. So my two solutions here are negative 1 and positive 11. Then in example 6, to start solving this equation, we're going to subtract 300 from both sides. That's going to give me 3x squared is equal to negative 300. Next, I'm going to divide by 3 on both sides, which is going to give me x squared equals negative 100. And then to undo the squaring, I'm going to square root both sides. But remember, when I square root here with the x squared, and then I square root with this negative 100, the square root of a negative is no solution. So you cannot take the square root of a negative number. Therefore, there is no solution to this equation. And this concludes our video lesson.